can't resist the change that's there, because actually for the development of innovation, it's amazing, right? It does a much better job of predicting outcomes than we used to be able to do, because we have another smart brain in the room.
Yes.
So if you use AI and use the power of it and kind of channel it correctly, no, I don't think it will replace jobs. We'll always need people to make decisions about which ideas to move forward with, which concepts to write, how to make improvements to products. We'll always need the human for that.
Este programa llega gracias a Grupo OMG y con el apoyo de Gloria.
Hola amigos de Marcas y Mercados, bienvenidos a un nuevo programa. Hoy día me acompañan Virginia Wells y Wyoming Move. Virginia es directora global de Innovación en Ipsos y Wyoming es también director global para Ipsos en el área de Innovación. Thanks, guys, for being here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, there's a lot being said about AI, and I would like you to help me with some questions that we were working in. We have this point of view called the imperative of humanizing AI. And the document talks about humanizing AI. Could you please explain this concept and how it is applied in practice to the development of products and market strategies?
Sure. AI is really amazing how it's transformed the innovation and product development process.
Mm-hmm.
It's allowed us to do things that used to take a lot longer before, and it brings all of that intelligence into what we do. However, it is very important that we humanize the artificial data that we get from generic models. Why? Because they often don't really reflect local realities, the culture of the local market. So it's very important, in addition to AI, that we also include survey data, fresh consumer data, all of our innovation knowledge as well into the prompt engineering, the questions that we ask AI, and also use databases that we have for innovation that we know, so we can tell what works and what doesn't. So in addition to AI, you need to humanize it with fresh consumer data and other innovation knowledge.
So it's not like someone's telling or saying that AI is going to take our jobs, and we're going to...
Well, that's an interesting question. We sometimes say that AI won't replace you, but someone who uses AI will.
Definitely.
So you really need to kind of move forward. You can't resist the change that's there, because actually for the development of innovation, it's amazing, right? It does a much better job of predicting outcomes than we used to be able to do, because we have another smart brain in the room.
Yes.
So if you use AI and use the power of it and kind of channel it correctly, no, I don't think it will replace jobs. We'll always need people to make decisions about which ideas to move forward with, which concepts to write, how to make improvements to products. We'll always need the human for that.
Yes, because we believe in that, we have to have consumers at the center.
At the center, exactly.
And context changes.
Yes.
And context matters.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So fresh data will always be needed, right?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, and how can the humanization of AI positively impact the return of investment for our companies, especially compared to the use of generic models?
Well, it has a really big impact, because when you bring AI into the equation, along with the human intelligence and the fresh consumer data, we find that the innovations launch score much higher. So sometimes as much as 9 or 10%, we're seeing an increase in the scores during the testing process. And when actually that kind of level of increase translates into a 15 to 30% increase in market share. So when you use AI, you can get to the right result faster, you can get a better result, and then you can also increase your chances for in-market success.
Yes.
So,
today, you were talking about one of the examples that we use in Peru using AI, and how it helped us to do it faster and be more accurate, right?
yes.
Yes. Wyoming, tell me, what specific market opportunities does the humanization of AI offer to Latin American companies, considering the unique characteristics of the consumers in the region?
Yeah. So first of all, AI helps insight and innovation professionals in all countries because AI is making things happen a lot faster. As you heard this morning, we're now using humanized AI models to make sure that we're generating the right innovation for all of the consumers in every country. And it makes the insight manager's job a lot easier because now you can go from ideation to creating the concept to generating the package and the product proposition in a matter of days. So AI helps everybody. But particularly to Latin America, of course, as you know, the AI model is created mostly in US and China. And therefore, if you think about the lab environment where all of these data were trained on, a lot of those data were biased. Western English content was the primary source where those models were trained upon. So the wonderful opportunity for AI, humanized AI especially, when we connect the general AI model to the consumer-centric data in Peru, that's when magic happens, right? Because that's when AI is able to generate the innovations that are specific for the Peruvian consumers based on genuine consumer data from Peru, right? So in other words, you gain the autonomy as a Peruvian market researcher or an innovator to make sure that the innovations that you're going to come up with is tailored to the Peruvian market.
Yes, because context matters.
Yes.
And the consumers are different. So we need fresh data to produce or to work with the models,
That's
right?
correct, yes.
Okay. Tell me, how can Latin American companies develop a solid strategy to integrate AI into their innovation processes, considering the available resources and the region's digital maturity?
So it really, the digital maturity in a way doesn't actually matter. Everyone has access to AI and the models that exist today, and they take the local consumer information and combine it with that. So it doesn't really matter if the market isn't advanced from a digital perspective. All of the assets are there to use. And then, Ipsos as a company has a lot of innovation expertise, and we're able to apply that to every market since we're present in over 90 countries. Our database is really designed to measure information from all cultures and all regions. So really, if you put it all together, it almost doesn't matter the digital maturity of the market. We're still able to really produce really amazing results beyond what we could just do a few years ago.
Yes, indeed. And what practical advice would you give to the Peruvian companies who are seeking to integrate AI into their innovation processes to improve their market strategies?
Yeah. I would say to start, don't be afraid of it. Embrace AI into the day-to-day work. AI, as Virginia has just said, is this very smart assistant who has just joined the team. So that's the first advice is don't be afraid. Use AI, right? But also the second advice is actually to know the limitations of AI, right? So we need to understand that AI is trained on generic data. It's not tailored to the Peruvian consumers, and it has not done any market research. It has not worked as a marketing manager before. So those are the limitations of AI. We have to understand what AI can do, but also where the limitations are and how we as humans can play a role in this whole process, right? So don't be afraid, give it a try, but also know the limitations.
Yeah, do it now. That would really be my answer. There's no reason to wait.
Yes. But then LLMs are not trained or are trained in what we ask them to be trained on.
Exactly.
So we have to be very careful, but do it. I mean, Don't be afraid, don't be scared. Do it, but use fresh data from the consumer now.
Right.
And last but not least, how is AI used to predict the potential success for an innovation? What metrics or indicators are considered in the process, and how are these predictions validated?
Yeah. So that is a very, very good question because it gets into the very notion of AI model is used, it should be developed for each specific use cases, right? Concept prediction, innovation prediction is one of them. One of those, you cannot use the same model or the same process for every use case. When it comes to concept prediction, there is a very strong belief that we have is you cannot use the past to predict the future, right? So the AI model by definition is trained upon data that was in the past. And therefore the humanizing component comes into even louder when it comes to prediction, when you're showing AI a new innovation, which by definition never existed before, right? So how do we use AI model to predict concept success? We have a process defined, which is that we will show an innovation to consumers. This is where the real human comes in, real consumers come in, right? Because we think that only real consumer can forward looking into the future. AI model mostly are backwards looking, right? So we show the innovation to the consumers and we're asking consumers to tell us what they think about the innovation in the sense of their natural languages, just their top of the mind thoughts. We're collecting all of these verbatims, but where AI comes in is AI is looking at the patterns and the themes and the drivers in consumers' language and compare that to the learnings that Ipsos has had on what type of sentiments, what type of mentions in consumers' verbatims is likely to drive a behavioral change to pick up this innovation over their status quo, right? So AI is doing the job of summarizing, analyzing, and making a prediction, but not generating the opinion itself, right? So this is how we let AI work for a prediction job. But this question, I like this question a lot because, again, going back to what I said in the beginning, every AI model AI process is designed for specific purposes, right? So we cannot just say we use LLM for everything in market research. When it comes to concept tests, when it comes to package tests, when it comes to advertising testing, they will all follow slightly different processes.
Yes, even though in advertising, you can not only use AI to predict, because again, context matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have to have the fresh data from the consumer who has to be always at the center.
Yeah. So, I mean, consumers from different cultures react differently to advertising. Some like more humor, some like something more serious. All of that always needs to be taken into consideration. It's very risky if you just take the data without that cultural context and just project it onto the results for any market.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, so this is just the beginning. Well, the beginning.
We're getting on the road.
We're getting on the road
yeah.
because we've been working on this like for 2 years.
Yes.
So yeah, for 2 years. And every day we have more and more and more and learning more. So I want to thank you for being here. I know that you're going to be in SOMAR. And thanks guys for your time. Thanks for this morning. And hope to see you pretty soon.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bueno amigos, eso ha sido todo por el programa de hoy. Los espero en otra edición de Marcas y Mercados. Gracias.
Este programa llega gracias a Grupo OMG y con el apoyo de Gloria.